The scene shifts to the Imperial Army camp inside the Forbidden Zone, where Imperial Army monsters and knights stand in disciplined lines. Demon General Aelbed sits on a nearby rock and chuckles, saying that capturing the wall within 3 days seems impatient. Demon General Versio, standing beside him, agrees and says the defenders will not last much longer because their side is already in chaos. Aelbed replies that they should wipe them out completely. He adds that the demons who boast about handling everything alone are disappointing and waiting any longer only wastes time. He asks if the damaged communication network is restored. A subordinate confirms that contact with the main force is re-established and orders have arrived to advance and destroy the wall. Aelbed smiles and orders everyone to prepare, announcing that the long-awaited command has finally come. The subordinate beats the drum, and Aelbed orders his army to teach the foolish kingdom the fear of death for the emperor. Soon, the army marches toward the wall. Later, a soldier hurriedly reaches Cain and reports that the Imperial army has changed its movements. 2 Imperial masters and a knight order have appeared on the front line. Cain immediately becomes tense and orders the reserve forces to stay ready, telling everyone to remain alert and defend the wall at all costs. At that moment, a shadowy figure jumps onto the wall. Cain notices him and watches as Demon General Aelbed lands directly in front of him. Smiling, Aelbed comments that the 30-meter wall is easy to jump over. Cain raises his spear, realizing he is facing one Imperial master alone, and wonders where the second one is. Looking around with disappointment, Aelbed says the defenders are weaker than expected and asks where the kingdom's Iron Wall Knight, Sir Julius, is. Cain declares that Aelbed must defeat him first before charging with his Fury Wave technique. Aelbed dismisses the attack, saying Cain is seeking death. He draws his sword and releases an aura slash that cuts through Fury Wave with ease before continuing toward Cain. Cain barely blocks it with his spear, struggling under the force. Aelbed says he understands Cain's wish to die with everyone else and promises to grant it soon because the Emperor's loyal hounds will arrive shortly. Cain grows worried, realizing the other Imperial master may have gone to the entrance. Meanwhile, Demon General Versio reaches the entrance with his army and frowns at the battlefield. The demon fighting Lawrence and the others insists everything is under control, but Versio criticizes him for dragging out a battle that should already be over and declares they will take over. The demon grits his teeth in anger. Versio draws his battle axe, leaps into the air, and releases a powerful vertical aura slash that instantly shatters the barrier protecting Lawrence and the others. Lawrence is caught by surprise and immediately senses danger. Josh stares in disbelief at the massive Imperial army. Lawrence looks back and realizes everyone has already exhausted too much stamina since leaving the cave and will soon reach their limit. Versio orders his knights to give their lives for the Emperor and destroy the fortress. Lawrence charges the advancing knights with a shout, though he knows they can only hold them off for a few more minutes. He has sworn to protect the wall at any cost, but without Raul's help even that seems impossible. Desperately, he wishes for a miracle as the battle continues. Suddenly, the Ashton family flag rises above the battlefield. The Imperial army briefly stops and looks toward the entrance. Versio also turns to the approaching kingdom reinforcements led by Count Melvin Ashton and his Golden Bear Knights. Lawrence is shocked by their arrival. Seeing them, Jack happily declares that their timing is perfect and the Imperial army is finished. On the other side, Cain stands trembling with exhaustion, surrounded by the bodies of his fallen subordinates. Smiling, Aelbed asks if Cain truly believes such a force can stop a master. Frustrated, Cain realizes that even his family's spear technique cannot leave a single scratch on Aelbed. Suddenly, an explosion echoes from the entrance and smoke rises into the air. Aelbed assumes their ally has destroyed the entrance and says reinforcements will soon arrive, leaving only Cain and the others to die together. Just then, a figure jumps from the top of the wall and attacks Aelbed from behind. Aelbed reacts in time and blocks the strike, sending dust everywhere. When the dust clears, he is surprised to see Dylan standing before him. Dylan immediately takes a fighting stance and mocks Aelbed, saying he is clearly not the ally Aelbed is waiting for and that his reinforcements are not coming. Meanwhile, at the entrance, a demon watches in shock. Even with overwhelming numbers and Bajo activating the Emperor's mark, they have been defeated easily. The demon cannot understand what kind of human can achieve such a feat as more Imperial Knights charge. Count Melvin Ashton calmly raises his sword and cuts them down instantly. Terrified, the demon transforms into a shadow and tries to escape, regretting trusting humans and realizing he will die meaninglessly if he stays. Before he can flee, Julius, commander of the Iron Wall Knights, notices him, thrusts his aura-covered sword into the shadow, and kills him. The demon's scream echoes across the battlefield. Count Melvin raises his sword again, releases his aura, and challenges anyone else to step forward. Back on the battlefield, Aelbed senses the Count's overwhelming presence and becomes uneasy. Dylan notices the change, mocks him for losing his confidence, and tells him not to ruin the moment because he wants to keep fighting, even with his bare hands if necessary. Furious and embarrassed, Aelbed insults Dylan before pulling out a magic scroll and activating it. He vows to repay this humiliation someday and warns that victory will not always belong to them. Cain tries to attack, but Dylan stops him, explaining that it is a teleportation scroll and that the unstable surroundings make tracking its destination impossible. He tells Cain to stay calm and abandon the chase. Soon afterward, one of Dylan's subordinates arrives and asks if everyone is safe. Dylan complains about his late arrival and asks about the entrance. While supporting the weakened Cain, the subordinate reports that Commander Julius and Count Melvin are eliminating the remaining enemies. Many Imperial soldiers have deserted, while the rest are surrendering after losing morale, so everything is progressing smoothly. Dylan sighs and calls the Imperial army pathetic. Cain then asks if there is any news about his master, Baron Ro. The subordinate replies that Raul is still fighting alone inside the demon god temple. Dylan suggests helping him, but the subordinate explains that the temple is floating in the air and surrounded by intense demonic energy, making reinforcements unable to approach. Cain silently worries about his master's safety. Inside the demon god temple, a noble demon laughs with twisted amusement, saying the battle reminds him of something he has not felt for ages. He says it has been a very long time since anyone has pushed him this far, and he now remembers that what he loves most is the taste of living humans torn apart. Nearby, Raul struggles to stand and realizes that even with telekinesis, landing a direct hit is extremely difficult. His contracted fairy, Ravel, asks what they should do. She explains that the demon's blood magic is packed with demonic energy, making even her ice magic useless, so waiting for Karl seems like their only option. Raul refuses, saying that delaying any longer could cause something terrible to happen at the wall and insisting they must act immediately. After thinking for a moment, Ravel says she has an idea and asks Raul if he can follow her instructions because it may be their only chance to defeat the demon. She explains that the entire temple is covered by a spatial barrier and that even the demon's perfectly controlled demonic energy is affected by it. If the source of the barrier is destroyed, the demonic energy inside the temple will become unstable and the demon's tightly woven blood magic will lose its power. Raul asks how they can find the source of the barrier. Ravel replies that they do not need to find it because simply making the barrier useless is enough. Raul is shocked by her answer, and Ravel asks if he is capable of doing it. Raul admits that he cannot guarantee success, but says he will find a way. At that moment, the demon charges at him. Raul quickly dodges, but the demon mocks him, saying dodging is useless, and creates blood chains to attack. Raul easily avoids them again. Ravel uses her freeze spell on the demon, instantly shattering the blood chains and causing slight damage. The demon laughs, saying they still do not know their place, and that such tricks no longer work. He suddenly rushes forward so fast that Raul cannot react and lands a heavy blow, making Raul cough blood. Even while injured, Raul stretches out his hand and uses telekinesis to throw several weapons at the demon. Surprised, the demon quickly turns and raises a barrier that blocks every attack. Confident, the demon declares that it is over. He praises Raul's persistence despite using what he calls a worthless trick and says he will reward him with eternal rest. Raul quietly signals to Ravel that he is ready. The demon gathers dark energy in his arm and launches a finishing attack. At the same time, Ravel casts Elemental Shield at full power to block it. The collision creates huge shock waves across the area. During the chaos, Raul attacks the spatial barrier itself and successfully destroys it. The temple immediately begins collapsing. Raul smiles faintly and remarks that proper maintenance is important. Shocked, the demon looks around as the barrier breaks. Raul slams down with all his strength, sending more shock waves through the temple. More parts collapse, leaving the demon confused and stunned. Outside, everyone watches in shock as the floating demon god temple starts falling apart while Raul and the demon continue fighting inside. Nikia anxiously watches the collapsing temple and silently prays for Raul's safety. The demon attacks again, but Raul blocks the strike with his sword. The demon suddenly feels his control over the blood weakening and wonders if the collapsing barrier is the cause. While distracted, Raul rushes forward and wounds the demon, making him scream. Raul realizes Ravel's plan is working because his aura is finally reaching the demon. Furious, the demon spins blood around his body, but the moment Raul releases his energy, the blood stops moving. Confusion fills the demon's face as overwhelming pressure crushes him. He cannot move even a drop of blood and finally understands the huge gap between their powers. Raul advances without hesitation, drives his sword into the demon's chest, and releases his aura. The demon screams as the aura spreads through his body. As he begins fading away, he mutters in disbelief. Watching from afar, Great Sage Black decides there is no need to activate the detonator. He admits Gray is right and says the kingdom has not fallen, at least for now. As the temple keeps collapsing, Raul, barely able to stand, staggers to the edge and jumps. He tries to spread his wings, but his vision blurs and he loses consciousness. Great Sage Black quickly flies over, catches him with magic, and comments that Raul is still a rookie because even a small mistake leads to such a result. He gently places Raul on the ground. Soon, Raul's companions arrive and call his name. Before they notice him, Great Sage Black flies back into the sky, quietly saying he will remember the name Raul DeHyun. Elsewhere, several fleeing demons try to escape, but Dalton instantly kills them with sword slashes while calmly asking where they think they are going. The kingdom's first reinforcements arrive quickly. After Julius sends an urgent request, the Count Ashton family, the Duke Templeton family, and their allies mobilize. With the demon god temple destroyed, the demons lose their source of demonic energy and are rapidly defeated. The Imperial army finally retreats, giving the kingdom a decisive victory. Later, at the Count Ashton mansion, Raul lies in bed and announces that chaos is coming. His older brother Lawrence questions the sudden statement, while his father, Count Melvin Ashton, asks him to explain everything so they can prepare. Raul opens the system window and reveals that he receives a revelation. A second gate incident will happen, and the true age of superhumans will begin. His father and brother are left shocked. Raul silently reads the system message. It explains that every third-stage ancient seal suppressing the dimensional gates, except one, is released. Because of this, gate erosion speeds up, forgotten ancient races begin appearing, and the mana density of the connected world greatly increases, allowing more people to surpass their limits. Plants and animals grow faster, while a large amount of demonic energy has already entered the continent. The message warns that dark beings will soon roam freely and that as humanity grows stronger, even more terrifying enemies will appear. With the third stage seals released, a new scenario begins. Raul realizes the war against the Empire is never the true objective. Their real goal is releasing the ancient seals hidden inside the wall and the Forbidden Zone. Simply defending the wall is never enough to change the outcome. The Empire's easy retreat now makes sense because it already achieves its goal. Understanding the seriousness of the situation, Raul decides to prepare for everything. He knows that those who sense these changes will soon begin moving on Earth. It has now been 1 year and 3 months since Connect officially launches. Marketed as a gateway to a new world, it quickly fascinates people, just as its slogan promises. After official research confirms that connecting to Connect is no different from sleeping, many people support living a double life through it. As interest grows, capsule production rapidly increases, and the number of users soon passes 200,000. The company also announces plans to distribute 1 million capsules within the year. In Seoul, South Korea, people fully accept this technology and make it part of daily life. During a news broadcast, the anchor asks legal expert Dr. Han Bae whether an NPC from a game can establish a company in reality. Dr. Han explains that it is theoretically possible. He points to the newly created first company as proof. Since legal entities already exist and virtual entities are recognized as holders of rights and duties, the real question is whether game characters can legally be recognized as persons. A taxi driver listening to the broadcast laughs at the idea, saying it is ridiculous for a computer program to become a company owner, and asks his passenger for an opinion. The passenger, Kim Il-woo, nervously smiles and says it truly is an amazing world. The driver then comments that March is unusually hot, feeling well above 30 degrees. Soon, he stops and asks if they have reached the destination. Kim Il-woo confirms, thanks him, gets out, and walks toward a nearby building. Seeing the huge structure, the driver wonders when it is built. Kim Il-woo identifies it as the headquarters of the first company. Inside, workers busily carry boxes. Kim Il-woo scans his ID, gains entry, and is welcomed as Vice President Kim Il-woo. He sighs, admitting he still cannot get used to the title. His secretary greets him, informs him that an executive meeting starts in 30 minutes, and offers to guide him. Kim Il-woo asks if everyone else has arrived, and the secretary confirms that all the directors are already waiting. Later, he enters the meeting room and is welcomed by the first company's management board. He wonders how he will communicate with Han Xian and the foreign directors Blake and Wang Tianming. Xian tells him to use the device he receives earlier. After putting it on, Kim Il-woo realizes he can understand Blake and Tianming perfectly. Blake comments that reality feels completely different from Connect, while Tianming worries about Kim Il-woo becoming vice president. Amazed, Kim Il-woo notes that he hears everything in Korean. Xian explains that the device is based on capsule technology. Blake admits he still finds everything unbelievable and often wonders if it is real even after waking up. Kim Il-woo says he feels the same. They remember visiting Calab's castle on the Connect continent after joining Raul's guild. Raul tells them that his plan has been prepared long ago and asks them to sincerely accept his intentions. Back in the present, Blake says it is strange that an NPC creates a real company with the Purple Guild members serving as directors. Tianming admits he never believes it until seeing it himself. He expects a small office but instead finds an entire building and concludes that Raul de Ashton must be incredibly rich, even in real life. Xian adds that as Connect becomes more popular, the value of in-game currency rises sharply, making gold almost impossible to obtain. Blake dismisses their worries, saying that if the conditions are good, there is no reason to think too much because it is simply a win-win situation. However, Xian still feels uneasy and wonders whether the company is truly stable because the conditions are too generous. Blake agrees that they are not even doing normal company work yet still receive benefits and company shares, concluding that Raul has more than enough resources. Kim Il-woo explains that little changes for them because professionals manage the company while they focus on Connect, which is what Raul wants. He thinks their contract is about leading the Purple Guild and its players inside Connect, not working at headquarters, but he still wonders why Raul creates an entire company. Soon, the secretary enters and announces that the meeting is about to begin, asking everyone to sit down. A projection appears, revealing Raul, who greets everyone and introduces himself as the chairman of the first company. Kim Il-woo is shocked, unable to understand how a game character exists in reality, and wonders what Raul truly is. Meanwhile, elsewhere in Seoul, Han-woo, the eldest son of the Desium group, drinks with several others. Someone asks about his next move, and he calmly replies that they simply move forward. Kim, the eldest son of the Sobil group, says corporate guilds cannot grow while the First Guild and Purple Guild exist. Kong, the third son of the Crone group, agrees, saying that even spending huge amounts of money has failed. Angry, Han-woo slams his glass down and asks if they will keep being pushed aside by what he calls a mere program. His words unsettle everyone. He remembers that everyone there has failed to establish guilds in the Ruben Kingdom because of that NPC. Recalling his father's hatred of defeat, he grits his teeth and declares that the next scenario is about to begin. Smiling coldly, he announces that it is time for the Anti-First Guild Alliance to act officially. On Earth, officials hold a meeting about the false apocalypse. After hearing the report, the president of South Korea becomes uneasy and remarks that the so-called false prophecy is frighteningly accurate. He asks the Deputy Prime Minister of Economy about the country's energy supply. The deputy explains that they are managing for now, but at the current rate every industrial complex could stop within 5 years. The officials whisper anxiously, worried because no real solution exists and ashamed that the government has fallen behind a private company. While listening, the president recalls how Connect and the false apocalypse begin. Before the virtual reality game appears, every world leader is secretly visited by a mysterious man, including the president himself. Despite CCTV, security systems, and guard dogs, the visitor enters unnoticed. The man is Alex Song, chairman of Connect. He shows advanced technology and dangerous information before offering a proposal no leader dares reject. The Connect capsules and the prophecy are too important to ignore. After that meeting, the multinational company Connect is created. The president also remembers a notice warning that strange events will spread across Earth, causing climate change and endless natural disasters that many people cannot survive. It says humanity's only hope is to enter Connect and find the answer there. During the meeting, a silver-haired expert reports that every electrical device on Earth permanently loses about 30% of its energy efficiency for unknown reasons. The president realizes this starts when Connect becomes available. The expert warns that without backup power, electricity rationing will soon become necessary. The president asks whether Connect has replied. The chief of staff displays Connect's written response, which says the prophecy is unfolding exactly as predicted and that the only solution is to find the answer inside Connect. Several officials become angry at Connect's arrogant attitude and refusal to cooperate directly. The Chief of Staff also reveals that the U.S. military fails to find Alex Song or the location of Connect's headquarters. Realizing the danger, the President orders special laws to be drafted and instructs officials to secure Connect capsules for the military and major companies, believing future scenarios inside Connect will decide humanity's fate. The scene shifts to Connect near the border of Ashton County and Raul's Viscounty, where orcs, goblins, and other monsters attack the newly built Fortress Palif. A knight captain calmly tells the inexperienced soldiers to stay calm and follow the manual. The recruits are nervous, but when an orc throws a huge tree at the fortress, the magical barrier easily blocks it. Seeing this, the soldiers regain confidence, ready their weapons, and charge at the monsters. Above the battlefield, Bernard, alchemist Nakia, and Raul watch while riding Bernard's wind magic. Raul praises Nakia because the barrier performs better than expected. She humbly says it is only possible because of Raul's support. Raul remembers that while rescuing Brother Lawrence, Nakia gathers mana stones and recruits mages. Although maintaining the barrier costs enormous resources, he believes its success will silence every complaint. Bernard grows frustrated, asking how long Raul plans to keep testing while wasting so many mana stones. Raul simply thinks Bernard is acting exactly as expected. Nakia flies down and says they should finish quickly since the outsiders are already working hard. She creates several magic circles and launches powerful attack. Bernard fights beside her with wind magic while reminding her not to completely burn the monsters because their corpses are still needed. Watching the battle, Raul believes the monster wave will soon end. At that moment, a system window appears, announcing a new scenario called Forbidden Zone Opening Invasion. It explains that Connect has 4 forbidden zones: the monster forest in the west, the ice mountain range in the north, the elemental jungle in the east, and the Devil's Sea in the south. The ancient seals protecting them weaken, allowing powerful monsters to escape and march toward human lands, threatening humanity again. Another warning appears, saying monsters stronger than the player's current levels will soon emerge. Players are told to cooperate with Connect's residents and earn as much contribution as possible for future linked scenarios. Raul realizes the scenario begins much earlier than in his previous life. Originally it starts in the 4th year, but now less than 2 years have passed. Because of this, players are still too few and too weak. He worries that military-backed guild alliances and corporations will soon take control. While thinking, Nakia and Bernard return and report that the monster wave is completely destroyed. Raul quietly reflects that his goal is far greater than simply defending against monster waves because he has already prepared for something much bigger. 1 month after the scenario begins, monsters continue attacking Fortress Palif. Standing on the wall, a knight sees a massive monster army approaching and nervously wonders whether the barrier can survive. Another knight realizes he is a new recruit and casually asks if he wants to join the daily bet. Confused, the recruit asks what the bet is about. The knight explains that they are betting on which player will earn the highest contribution points that day. One knight supports Wang Tianming, while another insists Kim Il-woo will obviously finish first. The recruit stares at them in disbelief even as the monster army approaches. At that moment, Purple Guild member So-hyun rides her mythical white fox Yen Baeol and moves forward to stop the monsters. The Vice Guild Master gives the attack signal. Hidden Purple Guild members leap from the surrounding trees and attack. Kim Il-woo orders everyone to wipe out the monsters, reminding them that every kill increases their contribution points. So-hyun and Yen Baeol distract the enemies while Wang Tianming, Blake, and Kim Il-woo unleash powerful skills that quickly slaughter the entire monster wave. Watching Kim Il-woo fight, Blake remarks that the Vice Guild Master is becoming a monster himself. Kim Il-woo only sighs and admits he is still far behind Bae DoHyun. Blake asks whether he is still worried about his master. The question reminds Kim Il-woo of the shocking truth Raul reveals after the new scenario begins. Raul summons him to his office and tells him that Bae DoHyun and Raul are actually the same person, a secret already known by the other directors. Kim Il-woo is stunned by Raul's revelation. As he thinks about everything he hears, he realizes it explains many mysteries. Raul says that he is once an ordinary Connect capsule test pilot on Earth. During a difficult time in his life, Connect chairman Alex Song offers him a chance to become a test pilot. After entering the Connect capsule, he wakes up inside the body of the game character Raul. After hearing the whole story, Kim Il-woo finally understands why the First Guild accepts the Connect system so quickly, why Raul knows so much about Earth, and why he creates a company inside Connect. Although some parts still seem unbelievable, Kim Il-woo no longer cares. To him, Raul is still the person who gives him everything. Because of that, Kim Il-woo and the others decide to protect Raul's secret and support him no matter what. Returning to the present, Blake asks what they should do next. Kim Il-woo replies that they should finish their current mission quickly because another patrol area still awaits them. The scene then shifts to the western monster forest, where Raul walks alone through the wilderness. Looking around, he quietly notes that little remains. As he travels deeper into the forest, he remembers his previous life. Back then, he dreams of becoming the first person to reach the Forbidden Zone and open the path for other players. However, the large guild alliance later appears, suppresses solo players like him, and monopolizes the area. After a brutal war lasting 10 years, Raul loses everything, including his life. He wonders if things might have been different if he had powerful allies. While thinking, he notices a mark carved into a tree. He immediately recognizes it as the sign left by Josh, whom he previously sends to scout the Forbidden Zone. Raul realizes this is the beginning of the mysterious player line. Without hesitation, he crosses into the Forbidden Zone, where only players can enter. After walking for a while, he reaches a ruined fortress wall. Seeing the decayed structure, he remembers how the Guild Alliance once desperately tries to claim it as their headquarters. It is the only city at the entrance of the Forbidden Zone and the perfect base for further exploration. Raul grabs the gate's large metal handle and tries to open it, but the rusty handle breaks off in his hand, leaving him staring at it awkwardly. At that moment, his contract fairy Raul appears beside him. After looking around, she complains that the place is in terrible condition and asks if anything useful is left. Raul calmly says it does not matter because they will rebuild it themselves. Confused, Raul asks if he truly plans to rebuild everything, and Raul confidently confirms it. A system window then appears, announcing that brave players successfully stopped the Forbidden Zone monster invasion. It also reminds everyone that reclaiming lost land is just as important. The Forbidden Zone opening invasion scenario officially ends, and a hidden development site inside the Forbidden Zone is discovered by a player with outstanding pioneering spirit. After reading the notice, Raul quietly says that the time of peacefully hunting monsters together is now over. As Raul and Raul move deeper into the fortress, they inspect the damaged surroundings. Raul remarks that rebuilding everything from scratch would be easier and questions whether this place can even be called an A-rank fortress. Raul explains that the fortress has excellent terrain and huge expansion potential. He declares that it will become the foundation for expanding deeper into the Forbidden Zone. Raul approaches a nearby statue and releases his aura into it. As his power enters the ancient structure, the erosion slowly disappears. A new system window appears, announcing the A-rank quest, Rebuild the Gateway City. The quest requires players to rebuild the Gateway City expedition by repairing collapsed walls, restoring damaged magic circles, and defending the city from monster invasions within 15 days. The reward is management rights over the city and the surrounding territory. The system explains that this expedition is humanity's first gateway city, built long ago to develop the Forbidden Zone. While reading the quest, Raul thinks about the scenario's restrictions. Although he wants to send the knights immediately and expand as fast as possible, the scenario is only for players. That is why Josh's scouting team cannot cross the player line earlier. Raul asks Raul if she is ready, and she confidently says she can create the portal immediately. Moments later, she opens a teleportation portal inside the fortress. Pierce and a group of knights quickly arrive through it. Pierce thanks Raul and says they can handle the rest. He immediately orders the knights to check personnel, begin repairs, distribute building materials, and organize information for future players. As the knights obey, Raul continues thinking about the Forbidden Zone's rules. Connect residents who are not pure players cannot enter first. Only after players develop the land and unlock portals and access rights can others enter. At that moment, members of the Purple Guild arrive. Kim Il-woo tells Raul that the guild will begin scouting immediately. Watching them prepare, Raul realizes that only land activated and developed by players grants temporary management rights, allowing portals to be installed. The system's purpose is obvious to him. The Forbidden Zone is meant to belong to players. Without these restrictions, powerful kingdoms ruled by masters would seize everything. Raul remembers that in his previous life, nobles and large guilds abused this system by monopolizing nearby forbidden zones and controlling players for profit. Because of their greed, development slows greatly despite the vast territories they own. Determined not to repeat that mistake, Raul vows that history will not repeat itself while he is alive. He spreads a map across a table, marks several locations, and orders everyone to secure every branch base deeper inside the Forbidden Zone. He also tells them to prepare immediate map updates when the scouting teams return. Raul knows that while other guilds slowly develop the entrance areas, his own forces must move deeper and claim high-rank developed lands before anyone else. The scene then shifts to the Eastern Forbidden Zone, the Elemental Jungle. There, the Anti-First Guild Alliance and the Extinction Guild Knights struggle through the dense jungle. Vice Guild Master Joe Minchan becomes increasingly frustrated and urges the exhausted knights to move faster, asking how they expect to find developed lands while advancing so slowly. The tired knights beg for time to drink elixirs and recover because the entire party is exhausted. Their complaints only make Minchan angrier. He opens the Connect community, where discussions about the Forbidden Zone scenario spread rapidly. System reports reveal that except for the Western Monster Forest, no region makes meaningful progress. Players complain that the difficulty is unfair because most groups cannot move beyond the entrances. Others say experts recommend capturing low-rank developed lands first instead of chasing high-rank areas immediately. After a Japanese leader supports this strategy, leaders from several other countries release similar statements. Reading these discussions frustrates Minchan even more. He angrily punches a nearby tree and wonders why his alliance still finds nothing valuable. His thoughts return to an earlier conversation with Kim Seong, the eldest son of the Sobiel group. Kim Seong explains that although Connect has countless players, the world's rulers are still NPCs, and the most influential among them is Raul Ashton of the First Guild. He says the Forbidden Zone scenario is the perfect chance to build territory controlled entirely by players and challenge the existing powers of Connect. Minchan argues that the Western Monster Forest is already controlled by the First Guild and Purple Guild, and finding another developed land elsewhere will require enormous resources. Kim Seong assures him that the Sobiel group will fully fund the Anti-First Guild Alliance regardless of the cost. Minchan only needs to secure a valuable developed land. Back in the present, Minchan becomes obsessed with the idea that discovering even one S-rank developed land will raise both him and the Sobiel group to the top of Connect. Just then, one of his subordinates reports that a scout discovers a strange tree nearby. Hearing this, Minchan immediately orders them to take him there, and the scout quickly leads him through the jungle toward the mysterious tree. As they approach, the trees suddenly attack. Minchan reacts at once, swings his sword, cuts apart the incoming branches, and blocks the attack. When everything becomes quiet, he stares at the huge tree in shock because it is completely invisible just moments earlier. Believing he has found a hidden special base, he becomes excited and concludes that it must be an S-rank developed land. He immediately orders his subordinates to spread out and search for the base activation point. Filled with greed, he imagines owning his own territory instead of serving Kex's arrogant NPC rulers, who treat players like disposable mercenaries. Since the manager of a developed territory is like a king, Minchan believes his future is finally secure. His thoughts stop when he hears a subordinate screaming nearby. Annoyed, he assumes they are overreacting again, just as they do when they panic over a giant snake. Complaining about their weakness, he walks toward the noise while insulting them. After a short distance, he angrily demands to know what is happening, unaware that two giant trees with glowing red eyes silently watch him from the darkness. Meanwhile, Raul reaches the Western Monster Forest, where a roaring golem charges at him. Smiling calmly, he keeps his sword ready and, just before the attack lands, swings it and releases a blue aura slash that cuts the golem in half and destroys it instantly. Ancient ruined temples and weathered statues surround the area, showing that it is an abandoned stronghold. Raul laughs after realizing he has conquered the deepest fortress in the monster forest. Soon Philip arrives with several knights and reports that the expedition reaches the fortress safely. Raul praises him and appoints him as the manager of Fortress Cupidus. Philip confidently accepts and promises to do his best. Fortress Cupidus, an S-rank fortress, is one of the most important places in the Western Forbidden Zone. Raul remembers that its name means hope in the ancient language and that, in his previous life, it is the deepest territory humanity ever occupies. The first development expedition is already complete. The remaining A-rank city development quests progress smoothly, while knight deployments and portal installations are finished for future invasions. Confident in these preparations, Raul believes the territory stays safe even without him. At that moment, his contracted fairy, Ravel, appears and asks where he plans to go next. Raul reveals that he already has another destination. He opens the system window and sees a notification stating that many large guild players are wiped out while attempting the S-rank development quest at the entrance of the Elemental Jungle and have submitted complaints against the game company. Raul is not surprised because he believes their greed blinds them to their limit. Even he suffers a game over on the same quest in his previous life. At the current stage, only the western monster forest can realistically be conquered. The eastern elemental jungle is dangerous from the entrance, the northern ice mountains require survival in extreme cold, and the southern demon sea needs ships strong enough to cross violent waters. Raul estimates players need at least 6 months to prepare proper strategies, but the rich guilds lack patience. Although he would rather ignore them, allowing them to continue would eventually turn the monster forest into another battlefield, so he tells Ravel to prepare because they are heading to the eastern elemental jungle. Ravel becomes excited and proudly says she knows that region better than anyone. Raul realizes how important the place is to her because the elemental jungle is home to Deso's forest, her homeland. Since being sealed inside the magic book long ago, she only knows it through written records and clearly wants to see how it has changed. Seeing her excitement, Raul sincerely thanks Ravel for all her help and vows to do everything possible to help her find her people. Believing this is his duty as her partner, Ravel stays silent for a moment, then returns to the magic book to prepare for the journey, leaving Raul smiling. Looking toward the horizon, he remarks that it has been a very long time since he last travels east. The scene shifts to Free City Jenna in the Marcus Kingdom, where crowded streets are filled with players recruiting members for raids into the eastern elemental jungle. They ask for mages, spiritists, and espers who can use elemental manifestation while promising protection from top-ranked tankers. A blue-haired player comments that outsiders gather in huge numbers because of the Forbidden Zone's development, while another replies that even the kingdom's nobles cooperate because no one ignores such a profitable opportunity. Disguised as Bae DoHyun, Raul quietly listens and is amazed by how much Jenna has changed. In his previous life, it remains a small rural settlement from beginning to end. He remembers that Jenna stands on the eastern edge of the Marcus Kingdom as the continent's easternmost free city. Its isolated location once makes it one of the least developed free cities, but after the Western Forbidden Zone is conquered, players flood into it. Although they could organize through online communities, their gathering in person shows how desperate they are. The scene then shifts to the First Guild's Jenna branch, where Kane welcomes Raul. Raul asks about the preparations, and Kane reports that they secure a Marcus Kingdom noble to sponsor and manage the development site, with formal negotiations beginning soon. Satisfied, Raul explains that once the base is secured, the kingdom's nobles handle development, defense, and taxes, so both sides benefit and have no reason to refuse. After removing his mask, Raul tells Kane to finish the negotiations and cooperation agreements before reporting back. Kane uses his transformation ability to copy Raul's appearance and assures him everything is under control. Raul puts on another mask and heads to the nearby portal. Before he enters, Kane warns that recent attacks on solo players are likely organized by large guilds, but Raul calmly says he already expects this and steps through the portal. Watching him disappear, Kane quietly prays for his master's safe return. After passing through the portal, Raul enters a dense forest and quickly moves deeper into the jungle while controlling several flying swords with his psychokinesis trait. The swords move like parts of his own body. A wolf monster soon blocks his path, but without slowing down, Raul sends 2 swords through it, killing it instantly before continuing forward. As he advances, he notices several players secretly following him and thinks some things never change. The group contacts someone through a system call and reports that a powerful-looking solo ranker has entered the jungle without a guild emblem. When asked if they confirm his identity, the leader explains that the man's face is completely hidden. They immediately receive orders not to let the mysterious player monopolize the development site, and the team continues following him. Ravel asks Raul what he plans to do about them, and he calmly replies that he will ignore them for now. While moving deeper into the jungle, Raul remembers that the eastern elemental jungle is far more dangerous than normal monster territories because countless elemental beings appear there and the land itself rejects outsiders, turning the entire jungle into a giant living trap maze. As if proving his point, one of the pursuing players triggers a hidden trap and is instantly burned by magical flames. The team leader dismisses him as a straggler and orders everyone else to continue chasing Raul. Raul ignores the chaos behind him and focuses on examining the nearby development site. Everything he finds is only C-rank town trees, and none are the A-rank sites he seeks. He believes repeated failed development attempts reset the valuable terrain deeper inside the jungle, leaving him no choice but to keep moving farther into the Forbidden Zone. High above the forest, a scout watches Raul from a giant tree and reports that Raul realizes there are no valuable development sites near the entrance and is heading directly toward development site A07. Hearing the report, the team leader becomes more nervous. Raul's judgment is extremely accurate, and his speed completely overwhelms everyone chasing him. Even though dozens of players pursue him, none of them can get close. The team leader concludes that Raul is at least a 3-digit ranker, or perhaps even a 2-digit ranker. Their guild struggles to clear C-rank quests even with large groups, yet this mysterious player confidently explores the jungle alone. The team leader even suspects that the stranger is Bae DoHyun from Purple Guild. Determined not to miss this chance, he orders every available guild member to gather. Whoever the mysterious player is, he plans to make him regret interfering with the guild's mission. After traveling farther, Raul finally stops in front of a huge tree. He recognizes it at once, smiles, and realizes it is the A-rank town tree he has been searching for. Suddenly, the ground beneath him begins to shake. Raul briefly wonders if the strange tremor is a natural phenomenon or an earthquake. While distracted, a bat monster dives down to ambush him. Raul immediately senses it, turns around, and destroys it with a single punch. As everything becomes calm again, Raul thinks that the Eastern Forbidden Zone is still as dangerous as he remembers. The elemental jungle earns its terrible reputation because of its endless mix of monster attacks and natural disasters, leaving no time to rest. Soon, several more monsters rush toward him. Without moving, Raul activates his psychokinesis trait and sends several floating swords at them. Every sword hits its target perfectly and kills the monsters almost instantly. Watching them fall, Raul quietly thinks that with his strength and telekinesis, elemental monsters no longer threaten him. A moment later, he notices a large group of players completely surrounding him. Instead of worrying, Raul laughs and wonders when so many people manage to gather. The team leader steps forward and says that the development site is currently under his guild's conquest. Raul simply laughs and points out that being under conquest means they have not actually claimed it yet. The team leader accuses Raul of being arrogant because he is a powerful ranker. He reminds Raul that he stands alone while more than 100 players with special traits stand behind the guild leader, insisting they should negotiate instead of fight. Before the conversation continues, a huge boar monster suddenly appears behind the team leader and charges straight at him. One of the guild's mages quickly casts a defensive barrier while shouting a warning. The powerful impact pushes the mage backward, and he immediately realizes the creature is a B-rank rage boar. Seeing the guild struggle against one monster, Raul turns around with a smile and mocks them, saying that they gather an entire guild yet still cannot defeat a single beast. As the floating swords continue circling Raul, the team leader finally realizes the truth. The blue aura around every sword matches the signature ability of Bae DoHyun from Purple Guild. Meanwhile, the mage desperately continues holding back the raging boar while the angry team leader shouts that Purple Guild will not monopolize everything forever and that one day Raul will regret his actions. Hearing the threat, Raul calmly stops walking, slowly turns back with a relaxed smile, and says that if they want him to regret something, they are free to try. After living through his previous life, he has no intention of carrying any regrets again. His words leave the team leader completely speechless.